All right, friends, sorry, part two. My laptop just doesn't hold that much. So what I was talking about, because I'm not sure exactly when we got cut off, suffix ing means something is happening now. Suffix less means without, so hatless would be without a hat. And the one that you've probably seen the most of is suffix ed, which means it's something that's already happened. So standing, somebody's standing now. Hatless is without a hat, and landed, a plane already landed in the past. These three suffixes have something in common. They each contain their own vowel sound. If you remember what a syllable is a word part that contains its own vowel sound. This means that when we add these suffixes to one-syllable words, we get two syllables because we're adding another vowel sound. Let's try this. Add suffix ing to the word jump. What would that word be? Good, jumping. Jumping has two syllables because the ing comes along with another vowel sound. Okay, now how many syllables does jumps have? Jumps. Suffix s does not come along with a vowel sound, so it still just has one syllable, like jump. So that's right, suffix s doesn't have its own vowel sound, so it doesn't add a syllable. When we're adding a suffix that adds a syllable to a word, the accent almost always remains on the root word. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. When we're adding a suffix that adds a syllable, like ing and less and ed, because it has a vowel sound, the accent almost always remains on the root word. Suffix ed is unusual because it has three different sounds. It can sound like d, t, and ed. Three sounds for suffix ed. Suffix ed can only say ed when the last letter of the root word is the letter D or the letter T. Let me show you some examples. All my little posters over here. So let me repeat that. Three sounds for ed, d, t, and ed. It can only sound like ed when the root word ends in a T or a D. So let's look at these words. Let's box suffix ed. You'll see the root word belt ends in a T. So that's why you say this word belted. He belted his pants yesterday because they were too big. Belted. Now this word, the root word ends in a D. The root word ends in a D, so it sounds like ed. Padded. Okay, football players have padded shoulders. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to repeat real quickly. Belt ends in a T, so it's belted. The last letter of the root word belt is T. How many syllables does belted have? Let's clap it out. Belted. Belt and the suffix ed, because it's a vowel sound, together make two syllables for belted. Where do you think that accent mark belongs? On the root word belt. So it's right before the suffix. You say belted, belted. Okay? Now, again, let's look at this word. Who can tell me what the root word is? It's pad. Okay? What's the last letter of the root word? D. But there's an extra D. It's part of a twin consonant. That's right. The extra D is part of a twin consonant. When we are coding words that contain suffixes and twin consonants, we will go ahead and cross out the second consonant. So a doubles or a twin. So we can make sure that the root word is really the only thing that you see left. So I'm going to cross out the twin, and now all you see is the root word pad. That makes up the whole word padded. Okay, so again, the suffix ed is pronounced ed because the root word ends in a D. Okay, suffix ed will sound like d or t at all the other times. Let me show you some examples of that. Let me get my poster. Here we are. All right. Let's take a look at these words. And let's box these suffixes and see what the last letters of the root words are. Box the ED, box the ED. Okay. Neither of these root words ends with a D or a T. That's why it doesn't say ed. So these suffixes will be pronounced either D or T. How many syllables are in the word filled? Filled. 1. How many syllables are in the word jumped? Jumped. 1. When suffix ed makes the D or the T sound, it doesn't make a vowel sound like ed. So it doesn't add an extra syllable to a word. Who can help me code these words? Okay. Can you hear me out there? Do you know? All right, let's do it together. So, filled has the root word fill plus the ed, an I followed by a consonant, and the jump is part of jumped, sounds like a T, and that is a breathed U as well, okay? All right, we're going to have some new cards, and there are suffix cards, actually called affix cards, because sometimes we might have a prefix too, but right now we're focusing on suffixes. They go at the end of a word. All right. When you see this card, I want you to say suffix S. Repeat, suffix S. Good, it's a suffix. We box it. Now this little line here is just where the root word would go. Okay, now for this one, you say suffix less. Repeat, suffix less. Good, without. And this one means plural, more than one. Okay, here is suffix ing. Suffix ing, it's happening right now. And this is suffix ed, which has 3 sounds. Ed, d, and t. Okay? Ed is when the base word ends, or the root word, ends with the last letter T or D. Otherwise, it sounds like D or T. When it sounds like ed, it does add a syllable because that's an extra vowel sound. Okay? So let's go back to our workbook page. Oh, and I tore it out. Mrs. Barhorst, what did you do? I found it. I found it. All right, kiddos. So here's where we were, and let's go ahead and look at some new sounds. So now when you say t, it could be represented by a T like tent, but it also could be represented by suffix ed in the final position. So repeat after me, t. Good. Now you're going to write it with a T or in the final position an E and a D, like filled. Not like filled, like jumped. All right, now 8 is D. Repeat. Good. It's represented by a D, like dog, but in the final position it could be suffix ed, like filled. Okay. Now we're going to go on to 9. Number 9, repeat this word with me. It has one of our suffixes. Jumped. Repeat, jumped. Good. I hear jump. And then suffix ed, one of its sounds, and this sounds like t in the word. Jumped. Okay, make sure yours matches mine. Number 10. Number 10 is going. Repeat. Going, good, go, plus ing is going. It's happening now. You're going now to the store. Number 11 is helpless. Helpless, spell help, very fair word with your sounds. And then less is suffix less, without. If you are feeling helpless, you are feeling like you have no help without help. Okay. Please do the high frequency word boxes on your own. I'm not going to do the whole second sheet because this video is getting really long. But let's take a look at our coding. Just to remind you, how do we code suffixes? No matter which one it is, we box it. And the reason we box it is to try to find that root word. And then we can go ahead and code the root word. We are going to also make sure that we look at where the accent marks go. Usually it always goes on the root word right before this suffix. Okay, so let's look at number 1. Let's box the S, and to make sure it's a suffix in this word, we're going to go ahead and code the rest of the word. So what do you know about this word? Well, I see combination AR, digraph CH. It's actually a voiced. Okay, this is the word charms. Charms, like charms on your necklace or your bracelet. Charms. Number 2, let's box the suffix. Now this is a vowel suffix, so it is adding a second syllable. So when you have a second syllable, you're going to need to have an accent mark, and it's usually right after your root word. We're going to underline digraph SH, breathe the A, and now I can focus in on that word mash plus ing and put it together and realize it's mashing. She is mashing the potatoes. Mashing is it's happening now. All right, number 3. Number 3, let's box the L, E, and the SS. Less. Less has a vowel sound, so it's a 2-syllable word now. So I need to accent, breathe the A, it takes hat and less and makes hatless without a hat. Okay, we're going to do one more. Box the ED, and now look at that root word. The last letter in the root word is a T. So I know that this is ed when it's pronounced. I also know that it adds a syllable, so I'm going to put an accent mark there. I see combination UR, blurt, and ed is blurted. I blurted out the answer already. I blurted it. Okay. Please feel free to finish this page on your own. We had a lot of phonics today. We're going to stop here, but that doesn't mean that you can't continue to go ahead and code and do your RUWs on the bottom. Okay, we're going to wrap it up for today, but I'll see you back at lesson 34. Thanks, everyone.